Hi, good evening. Welcome to Live with Dawn Butler. And joining me on the sofa today, I've got Councillor Nana Asante and Asad Omar, Councillor Asad Omar, both from Harrow. And we're going to be talking about the I thought it was unusual, but apparently it's not that unusual situation of a young Somali girl who's been adopted by lesbian parents, where the family have members who would like to adopt her. So we'll be speaking about that today. If you've got any discussions, issues, points you want to raise around that, then do please join in. We've got the live stream on www.smcorp.tv. Twitter, if you're tweeting, at Star Media Corp, at Dawn Butler Brent, hashtag Live with Dawn Butler. And if you're on Facebook, it's Star Media Corporation. And if you want to call live into the studio, it's 0203 395 2095. Good evening, Nana and Asad. How are you both today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good evening.
So this is your borough, Harrow.
Yes.
And so we've been reading since last month that there's a young Somali girl whose mother's suffering from mental health issues, so she's unable to take care of her child at the moment. And Harrow Council have decided that the family are not suitable enough to adopt the child, and so they're putting the child into another family that's not in line with the religious beliefs of the parents. Is that correct, or have I missed something?
No, you haven't. I believe those are the facts as we know them. I think, to be fair to Children's Services, they say that there aren't enough African families coming forward, there aren't enough Somalis, and they try to look for a suitable home for the child. The child has been in care since birth, so 3 years, and they want her to have a forever family, and that's what they were looking for, the best possible match.
Has nobody come forward over the 3 years that she's been in care? Child C that they're calling her.
Well, that's right, it's Child C. Some of the family members have come forward, and I believe there were 4 family members. They did come forward and they were assessed, but they were found not to be suitable for adoption. They asked the council for the reason why they are not suitable, but they were not given any reason. So they did come forward, but they were not taken into account.
But Councillor Asad, how can they not be given a reason as to why they're unsuitable?
That's what I'm puzzled as well. I have asked for it, and they say it's supposed to be confidential. They are hiding behind this data protection act and all that. But I find it very strange, because if I'm not, then at least those family members should be told why they are not suitable, so at least they can do something about it.
Yeah. So surely the family member themselves have not been told why
they haven't been told.
And they're unsuitable.
Exactly.
Councillor Nana, isn't that strange?
That is, I think, unacceptable. And if that is the practice, that is a practice that we need to change. Because I think it's important that people know why they're not measuring up.
Absolutely.
I mean, at the end of the day, there are some things we can change. And I think those are some of the issues. But since they are not being told exactly what it is that social services or children's services find unsuitable, they have no opportunity to put it right. And in one case, I mean, when we had a public meeting with the family members and the members of the Somali community, one of the family members was puzzled because she had 2 visits. After the first visit, she was told her home was fine, she was suitable, and the recommendation was going to be made that the child be placed with her. She had a second visit. That person could only find fault with everything. And I think in those circumstances, it's very important that we document what it is that people are finding objectionable.
Yeah, because I find it quite unusual, because I have a very close family member that's actually, funny enough, today she gave me a call to say that she's now been approved on her doctoration, and she's been trying for 1.5 years, and she's had to jump through various hurdles. So first of all, her flat was too small, so she had to move into a 2-bedroom house. Then there was no railings, so it was unsuitable, so she had to put the railings in. Then she was a smoker, so then she had to stop smoking, and so, you know, she had to jump over a lot of hurdles. But they did tell her at each stage, this is the problem, that's the problem, you know, there was something to do with, something that happened many years ago, so she had to address that and sort that out. So, but at least she was told, and what seems to have happened here is that somebody's been told, family's been told, you're not suitable, but we're not going to tell you why. And that's quite sad, because surely isn't the first thing is that if you've got a child, that you place that child in the family if possible, so you continue to have those links.
I agreed. And also that and I think it's the best thing is within, of course the best thing is with your own parents if that's possible. When that's not possible, family members are the next best thing. If family members are not suitable, then the wider community. So I think we're very disappointed to hear that they're not pursuing the family members. And as you're rightly saying, telling them why.
Yeah.
Because that why is important.
We've got a caller on the line. Let's take the call. Good evening. Thanks for calling in today. Good evening, caller. I think we've lost the caller.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll come back.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a hot topic. And the fact is, if councils want lots more African families to come forward, they're unlikely to come forward if they're not going to be given a chance.
Well, exactly. And I think that for us is what we find unacceptable. You need to treat people with the same sort of respect. It is a respect issue. As you've described with your family member who was trying to become to adopt or care for a child, she was told at every stage what the problem was. So she had an opportunity to address it. But the problem is, if you're not telling people, then in a way you're creating an environment in which they can never measure up, because we don't know what rules you're using, what assessment, and it feeds into, and it's unfortunate. When we had the public meeting, a lot of people actually said they feel that Harrow is institutionally racist for that reason, because Harrow seems to have rules that are secret that nobody can address, and that is the way they feel. And I think as a borough we need to address it.
Are there, I mean, absolutely, if the borough is, if people are proclaiming or feel that the borough is institutionally racist, then that is a huge issue. But tell me, are there many African children in the care system?
I mean, what we have heard is, yes, they are, and they are overrepresented in the fostering and adoption for various reasons. It's not just Harrow, but it's nationwide. But what I would say, that what this case has done is highlighted the need for BME, especially African and Muslims families to come forward for fostering and adoption. They might look into this and see, well, this is the case. We can't have a normal child being adopted by a lesbian couple. This is just Harrow.
But is that? I mean, Councillor Assad, can you be that prescriptive to say that you don't want your child being adopted by a same-sex couple? Is that allowed?
It's not allowed. It's not allowed in Islam, and it's not allowed in Somali culture as well. That was the main reason they went out and demonstrated. So
you're saying that. But isn't that like saying, well, we don't like these people? So is that not the same as saying
to the family? I think to be fair to the family, it's they're having listened to them. What they're saying is that from what they describe of the potential adoptive parents, they seem very good parents. I hear they're professional teachers, etc. That's a wonderful environment for the child. But the problem will be if this child is to retain her Somali culture, her Muslim culture, how she'll be received by the wider community living in a home such as this might create problems. And I think sometimes it's about looking at the bigger picture. Unless we want this child brought up in isolation, away from the family, it is something that, as Councillor Assad has said, is not permitted in Islam. So it is not, the lifestyle is acceptable in the sense that it is something that this country permits, and we respect them for who they are. But what we're saying is that if we want this child to have that links with her birth community, whether as she grows up, etc., because she's going to be always seen, when you look at her face, she is Somali. that will be there. And if she wants to have links with that community, you do not want to create obstacles.
Yeah.
So the point is, they haven't explored, in our view.
But would that not also be the same if then you're saying if she was placed with white people as opposed to African people, would you have the same objections? Because
I think the truth is
they are not the so anybody that's non-Muslim, because you do get some Muslim people who are gay, even though it's not discussed.
Yeah, it's I agree.
It's a little bit taboo and it's not discussed. I mean, that's a fact.
But then they're not Muslim. I mean,
So-
let's also be clear. You can't say you are Muslim and then be doing things which are not permitted by the religion. So unless you're talking about people, some people like to say I'm culturally Christian. I mean, I've heard people say I'm a cultural Jew and I'm a cultural Muslim. If from that point of view, if that's the way you describe it, but if you're following the religion, you can't. The two are incompatible.
Yeah, well, I suppose, I mean, that's another, I think that's another deeper thing for another topic, because that will take us a lot longer, I think, to delve deeper into that, because you know, people sort of talk about that also in Christianity, whereas, you know, you can read it many ways, and actually at the base of the religion it's about love and acceptance first.
But it's also about some rules.
First and foremost. But
it's about loving God first and your neighbor as yourself. That is the basic thing. But
which means that you don't judge.
No, it doesn't mean that. I'm sorry, it doesn't mean that.
Let's go back to the adoption situation, and maybe we'll pick that back up. But let's go back to the adoption situation. So, is the main reason for this this objection to the adoption that that there's family members who would like to adopt the child, or is the main reason that the child is being placed in a same-sex couple?
I'll say that the thing that brought it to our attention was the demonstration outside the Civic Centre in the rain, unusually over 50 Somali women demonstrating. And you know, in order to catch the attention of the media, you come with the most sensational bit. And the sensational bit was lesbian couple adopt Somali child. That caused the attention. But when you talk to the family, that is not the main issue. The main issue is, first of all, has the mother been given sufficient support? Has the family's wishes to adopt been addressed? Being told you can't adopt and not being told why is not really acceptable. We've also found out that the mother has a living mother in Djibouti, has a sister. That hasn't even been explored from what we understand. And if we're looking at the best interest of the child, and that's what, it's funny, talking to the wider community, the best interest of the child is about looking for the best possible family background for this child. And I don't think we've fulfilled that.
But this is your council, so you're both councillors in Harrow. What are you going to do about it? Because it's your council.
I mean, both of us had a meeting with the director of Children's Services, and she said she's going to look into that. The problem is, again, not many families are coming forward. So that's one of the avenues, you know, which the council would like to explore. And what they have said is they will arrange a meeting or seminar, something like that, in a few months' time for specifically Somali women to just tell them about this adoption service. How
so
they
the
can
council wants to do a recruitment drive to get more families adopted. But will this help Child C, or will that come too late?
No, I mean that won't help Child C, but the Child C is being helped at this moment, because if those women wouldn't have come out on a rainy day with umbrellas up all that, then the Child C will probably today with the lesbian couple, right? So it has helped them. It has highlighted the case for that, and it was put on hold, because I mean on that day when I came to the Civic Centre, I saw these women. I didn't know what was going on, and then they approached me. They asked me for support. I supported them. Then, you know, local press was involved. They took the pictures. Then they contacted me. Then national press like Sunday Times contacted me. BBC News contacted me, and it went further. I even had a call from a lady who said, I'm very worried because I've read in online in BBC News, and she said, I'm half Egyptian, half English, and she's a professor in Warwickshire, and if I can do something to help adopt this child. I mean, the adoption, you know, it takes a long time. So it's not just, you come forward and you adopt it. So I said, probably not in this case, but if you can put forward your name, then something will be done in the future. So I'm sure this is going to help Child C as well.
I think what's more important for Child C is the fact that the Victoria Mklimbi Foundation has called for an independent review. In my letter to the Director of Children's Services, I told her I was supporting the Victoria Mklimbi Foundation call, because I think actually this has highlighted some anomalies which in my view need explaining. So it's in a sense, if we have an independent review and we do our best for Child C, then we would have done the right thing.
I agree. Let's just take the caller. Good evening. Thank you for calling. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, thank you for calling. What's your question today?
Yeah, please. I know I'm Somali lady.
Okay. Welcome.
Yeah, you hear me?
I can hear you. Yep, keep talking.
Yeah, I'm Somali lady. I'm living in Hanislow.
Okay.
I just saw now in the television talking about Somali children in care. Yeah. Our community is for Somalia, and we are very sorry about to hear that, Somali children given in care for the lesbian women is.
Okay.
And because our culture and our religion don't accept two children living with parents with same sex.
And would you consider adopting or fostering a child?
Yes, please.
You would. And is that so? That's something that you'd like to pursue with your local authority?
Yes, please.
Wonderful. Well, I think thank you for your call today. And maybe we'll talk a little bit more about how people go about doing that. But thank you very much for your call.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you. So how, if somebody's interested in adoption or fostering, what would they need to do?
They have to get in touch with a local council. I mean, this lady is from Hounslow, so she has to get in touch with Children's Services.
I would say not necessarily your own council. I know people who foster across
Yeah,
boroughs. So get in touch with a council and register.
I mean, it's normally the agencies who do all the research and assessment and everything. So if she can get in touch with the council or any agencies, because I have seen these agencies advertised in the local papers as well. They are looking for foster parents and adopted parents. So if she can get in touch with them.
So any agency that does it or council that does it, and they'll take them through the process of how to adopt. And I think the thing you have to look out for is that you just have to be in a suitable home environment, so there's space for a child to come in. You have to have enough energy that you can raise a child. There's no age restrictions, so no matter what your age, and you can be single, you can be married, you can be living with somebody, you can be same-sex partners. I think all of that is all accepted, but I don't think you can smoke. I think
these
they
days
don't allow
smoking
that.
is seen as a no-no. So
Okay.
And it's quite rewarding as well, because I mean you can see a child whom you adopt, growing through, and on top of that you get some money as well. So it's a financial reward as well.
Okay. All right. Great. Well, we're going to go into a break shortly, and then when we come back, we'll maybe pursue what else sort of people can do locally and how they think about the issue. But you were saying that it may be too late to help Child C, but Child C's been in care, you say, since birth. So Child C's only ever known the care system. So Child C's never had a home, a family. Why did nobody come forward earlier?
Well, perhaps if there had been a high profile, maybe the lesson from this is there should have been more high profile search for families. I've noticed that, for example, councils like Lambeth and Southwark, you see adverts in the press asking for families, for children. Harrow, I haven't seen us doing it. So maybe that's part of the problem. And to be fair to the council, that's why they were in a hurry to get a suitable family to give her a forever family, as
Forever
they put
family. We've got another call. Let's take this call before the break. Good evening. Thank you for calling today. Good evening. I think we've lost the caller. I'm sure we'll get the caller back after the break. We seem to have been little problems with our lines today. But 3 years is not a short period of time for a baby. I mean, it's quite a long period of time.
It is.
I would think. I mean, you go through your learning years, you know, to the age, you know, at least the age of 2, you're learning and speaking and all of that. So I think it's quite sad, really, and we have to sort of put the child first in all of this.
It is sad, but another thing is that this woman has got 2 older children, and they have been taken into care as well, and now they have been adopted. So there's some sort of mental health problem, according to what the council is saying. But what the family and the friend said was that she did not get much support from the council. And rather than, I mean, the words which they use, rather than getting the support, she was punished for that.
Right.
So
Harrow Council sounds to me that they fall short in a lot of areas where they could have maybe have helped this
Well, I think
lady.
that's the lesson coming out of this, is drawing attention to it. And it's not just Harrow Council. I'll say the residents of Harrow need to also wake up, because it is our community, and what are we doing about it? So it's all of us. It's residents, councillors, staff.
Yeah.
What
but
are we
then
doing?
But then the council, the councillors, the leader of the council, they're the ones who are responsible for administering the procedure and the process.
Yeah, and all councillors are corporate parents. So maybe we need to know more about what's happening to the children in our care. How are they being looked after, and what is happening? And I think it's that this has highlighted that we need to take a little more interest. And it's difficult because of child protection and because of confidentiality. But even if we just call the child C, child D, child E, we need to know what is happening with child X. You know, how long have they been in care? And let's face it, the foster care will probably of high standard, because she has been in care, but she has been cared for.
So she was with foster parents. Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay, well, thank you both. We'll go to the break and then we'll come back after the break. Do please keep trying to call through. The telephone number is 0203 395 2095, and if you're following us on the live stream on www.smcorp.tv, we will see you after the break. Keep the tweets coming in at Star Media Corp, at Dawn Butler Brent, hashtag live with Dawn Butler. We'll read them out live on air. And telephone number, if you want to call in live to the studio, is 0203 395 2095. And if you're watching on the live stream www.smcorp.tv, you can always Facebook on Facebook/Star Media Corporation. So, Councillor Nana, Councillor Assad, we've been talking about Child C and the adoption process in Harrow. And maybe it may not be unique to Harrow in terms of the whole process and what's happened and how it's gone along, but I suppose this has been given quite high profile coverage. And I think even though the Child C has been in care, maybe foster parents, over 3 years, it's the fact that now Child C was going to be adopted by a same-sex couple, by a lesbian couple, that all of a sudden it's come out and people are now talking about it and willing to maybe put themselves forward. But is that the case?
No.
Or is it actually the case that family members were trying to put themselves forward before?
It is our understanding that family members put themselves forward. In fact, at least we've heard of at least 4 family members came forward. I don't know across what period of time. And the controversy for us is that they were found to be unsuitable. we don't know what unsuitable means, because nobody's giving the criteria. And I think the least we can do is tell people how they fall short so they can put it right. In the 3-year period, I'm sure there would have been time to address whatever issues, whether it was that there weren't enough bedrooms, the house was overcrowded. We don't know because we haven't been told.
Let's take this phone call. Good evening. Welcome to the show. Good evening. Welcome to Live with Dawn Butler. I think we're having a few problems with the weather today in the line.
Yes.
So, are there any other protests planned?
Well, I haven't been told about any protests, but as you know, we are going towards International Women's Month, and International Women's Day is on the 8th of March. It's a time when women, you know, will bring up issues that are important. I mean, the theme this year here is inspiring change. And I think one of the things as a woman, as a mother, I would say is to inspire change in the way things are done.
There needs to be a lot of change from just our conversation in Harrow, I must say. Good evening. Welcome to the show today.
Hello, yes. I'd just like to make a few comments.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, first I'd like to thank the respective counsellors for actually supporting, listening to the Somali community's needs. It's always sad to see a mother who cannot look after her child. It's really sad. But now to address the issue at hand, I think there's a lot of mistrust between the Somali community and the social services. And I think there's a lot of barriers put in place to make it extremely difficult for Somalis to actually adopt. And also the religious needs of the child have to be addressed. It cannot be ignored. Her culture, her race are all important things in order for her actually to grow up in a healthy environment. I mean, was the Children's Council simply trying to prove a point, or were they actually looking at the best interest of the child? Thank you, that's all I wanted to say.
Very, very good point. Very well said. Thank you very much for calling in today. So, counsellors, how do you feel about that?
I think that comment is right on target, because actually sometimes when you hear this, because of course the emotive thing that came out in the press is lesbian family, Muslim child, and that seems to be what people focus on. But to be honest, you know how it is with media. You need the attention in order to address the actual problem. The most important person in this
isn't about the lesbian couple.
No,
isn't
it's about the best
problem.
home for this child. It's about the child's best interest. And as this caller has rightly said, the child is a whole person. They need a family, yes, and this particular couple could probably provide a wonderful home, but they can't meet her religious needs, they can't meet her cultural needs, they can't meet her identity needs. And much as we might dismiss that at this point, identity is something that comes to haunt us later in life, and you need that sense of who you are. And it's a very strong sense of who you are to be an adult who blossoms.
Yeah, I do agree. I think it's quite complicated as well. Let's take another caller. Good evening. Welcome to the show today.
Hello. I would like to also give some extra views on this.
Okay,
what I would like to say is, firstly, I think the child should also be in the Somali culture because of their race and their ethnicity, their background, everything. What I also like to highlight is this little thing that I know. Basically what happened was, I have seen at my younger sister's school a 6-year-old Somali child who was given a West Indian family at the age of 3. She was adopted at the age of 3. And whenever she actually sees like anyone that's Somali, what happens is she just runs away. She like hides behind the foster parents. And I think that's because she's been told she's afraid of to be afraid of Somali people, because whenever we ask the foster parents, she'd be like, you know, she can't see Somali people or whatever. And I think that's really, really bad, because this is the child itself, and you're just totally ruining the child's mentality itself. And it's a horrible thing, basically. That's actually a real life thing happening. The parents would the foster parents would say, you know, be away from this child, you know, totally be away from her and be away from Somali people altogether. They're evil people, whatever, just to make them just to make her move away from them. And I think that's terrible altogether. So I'm just telling you some things that actually happen in real life.
So what would you say would be the solution to that? How do we get around that situation happening?
I think regardless of anyone's race, culture, they should be with their own community itself, because that's how they become actual individuals that know where they're from, who they are.
And if there's nobody from that community in the fostering system, then what should happen?
There will be people, it's just they're not heard. That's usually the problem. We're like, us as the Somali community generally, we're very open, and we're also up for stuff like that. It's just people are maybe not allowed, like the example of, the people being ignored because, they're not being told why they should not be there altogether. For example, like why, their houses or something's wrong with their house, or they're not being told what's wrong. I think that's the main barrier there. It's not the people not wanting to come up.
Great. Well, thank you very much for your call today. I don't think we got your name.
No
What was your
problem, no
name?
problem.
Which is gone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's the thing, is it? I think that there are several quite complicated issues because although ideally you want to have a child placed in a family with the same cultural background that understand the child's needs and understands the child's care, you want that to happen. If there are no families of that kind that shares the religious background, is it then best to place a child with a loving family or have that child in care? Because actually this situation that she talked about was actually a foster family.
I know.
And then you'll be going from foster family to foster family to foster family. It'll all be different. Or is it best to have them put in a
permanent home?
Forever family, you say. That's
Yeah,
the
that's,
basic.
I heard the term.
So
I thought it was
that's
interesting.
That's very
yeah,
quaint,
forever
very nice.
family.
So, what is best for that child? Because if you don't have the ideal situation, what's the next situation? And before you answer,
Yeah.
I'm going to take this other call.
Okay.
Good evening. Welcome to Live with Dawn Butler. Good evening. Welcome to Live with Dawn Butler. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, hello. This is Yusuf.
Hi, Yusuf.
Hello?
Hi, we can hear you.
Hello?
We can hear you fine. Keep talking.
Yeah, I strongly reject the girl that was taken away by lesbian people.
Cool. Because
Somalis, we are very, because Somalis are very proud people, and Somalis, we are Somali people.
okay, yes, we'll end that call there, I think. Okay, so the situation is, what's the best for the child? Is it if you don't have the ideal situation? So if the Somalis are,
See, I would challenge this thing about we don't.
Okay, so
We don't have.
Okay.
You see, I think because
so do we have enough
we heard from the
families in
caller.
the system?
We heard from the caller that we are putting barriers in the way. We need to address that rather than say, "Oh, they're not there; they don't come forward." We need to address that. What is the issue? We need to have conversations
So what
with
are
the
the
community
barriers that are
we are
stopping
placing.
the community? So
Yeah.
how would you ensure that Harrow Council removes those barriers?
And what I would say is that if I want to volunteer for something, right, and I say I will do this, I go to any Harrow Council or any other organization, and they look at me, right, and they say you can't do that. What I would expect is to tell me the reason why I cannot do that, and this is not what the council is doing, right? They have to.
So the council is absolutely wrong. So Harrow Council needs to address how it's handling families that are coming that want to adopt. Let's
That's
take
right.
this
Okay.
call. Good evening. Welcome to Live with Dawn Butler. Good evening.
Hello.
Hi, we can hear you.
Yeah, hiya. I'm calling this issue that this child. Can you hear me,
We
please?
can hear you clearly. Keep talking.
I'm shocked, but I'm not surprised for the child is in care for the lesbian couple, and I don't think that is the best interest for that child's religion and culture, if you like, and etc. You can actually find someone within the community that can provide exactly the same care and can provide same things that you actually looking for, same care, same well-being, and etc. You can find within the Somali community If you can't find it within that area, I'm sure you can find in London area or even outside, because I'm calling from outside in London. I'm calling from West Yorkshire, and I'm willing to offer a place for that child. Since my kids are grown up now, and they are the youngest is 17 now, and I have got an extra room, and I'm capable of looking after that child. That child needs, to be honest with you, if you are serious of finding a good home for that child, you can, keep in touch with me. I can leave my details.
Yeah, I think that's
in this studio.
I think that's
I'm
excellent.
Actually looking forward to.
I think that's excellent, and I think the problem is that how the system works, they expect people to get in touch with them rather than them trying to find you. So the fact that you are willing and able to offer a home to adopt and foster children when there are so many in the system, I think that's excellent. So we thank you for your call today, and what you will have to do is you would have to actually apply. So you'd have to make the effort to get in touch with your local authority, or even a local authority in London if you're willing to adopt a child in London. And I think that's great as well, because sometimes children need to be taken out of the area for certain reasons.
Absolutely.
So the fact that you can offer a home somewhere else, I think, is even more unique and better. So do please, when you put the phone down, contact your local authority and contact an agency, as Councillor Assad was saying.
Yeah.
If you contact an agency, then the agency will do the search for you. So will you do that? I think we've lost her.
Okay.
But do you agree the best thing would be for all the people that are listening today that were saying, right, okay,
I'm willing.
I'm willing.
Yeah.
And if anything that this story has done is made more people think, right, they want to and they're willing,
That's
is that
right,
not the
yeah.
best thing to happen?
Absolutely.
That's right,
Yeah.
But I would go
Agencies?
further, that the story we heard about the African Caribbean foster parents, and they were having the issue. What people have to realize is that if you come forward as a foster carer or an adopt, you might get a child not necessarily Somali.
Yeah.
You might get a child of
You
another.
get a child, and you don't really know why the
Absolutely.
child's running as well. They could have been abused.
Exactly. We
So
don't
we
know.
don't know. So we don't know.
Exactly. It's not necessarily
Yeah.
the foster parents who are at fault.
Let's take this call. Good evening. Welcome to the show.
Hi, my name is Ali. I'm calling from Cardiff.
Hi, Ali.
I wasn't following the show, but I tuned into the show like a couple of minutes ago. Before the lady who was speaking now, a man whom I think was Somali was speaking, and I didn't like the way he said things. And we are not like that. I want to apologize.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. We know that it was he was very rude, but thank you for apologising on his behalf.
All the Somalis are like that.
I know. I have many friends Somalis. But what do you think about the subject matter?
The subject, I wasn't listening, but I think it's the child that they put on adoption. I think in a lesbian couple.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. It's in religion-wise, it's awful. Culture-wise, it's disgusting to us. Not to the people who. I'm not offending the people who are lesbianists, but the Somali culture. This is something that is far from us, and religion-wise, it's forbidding from us to even accept that.
Would you be willing to?
I can imagine a Somali Muslim child raising by a same-sex couple. That's awful, I think, and I don't think they couldn't find a Somalis or even other Muslims. I don't mind if that Muslim is a Jamaican or American or whatever.
As long as they're Muslim.
Yeah, as long as that child getting Islamic upbringing. And I'm sorry, it's sad.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Right. Well, thank you very much for
You're
calling
welcome.
in
Bye.
today. Thank you for your call. Keep watching. We've just got a minute left to the show. So obviously, I think what this show has highlighted today is that, one, you have to get people worked up about an issue.
Absolutely.
But two, I suppose if we put the net out there and say to people, look, we've got children of Somali origin
Who need a
or
home.
Muslim children who need a home in a Muslim family, will you offer that home?
Absolutely.
And if you don't offer that
Then
home,
don't complain.
then don't complain, because at the end of the day,
The
you
child
know,
needs a
The
home.
child needs
Yeah.
a home.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great.
You're
So,
right.
Councillor Nana and Councillor Ashad, if anybody wanted to get in touch with you guys personally, how would they do that?
They contact the Independent Labour Group at Harrow Council, and we've got a website. They can Google it, they'll find it.
What's the website address?
It's www.independentlabourgroup.org.
Okay, great.
Or they can go to Harrow Council website and they can find our details over there. as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great. Well, Councillor Assad and Councillor Nana, thank you very much for joining me today. And thank all of you who called in, tweeting, Facebooking. Keep watching. Sorry for the calls we haven't been able to take, but I'm sure that we will again touch on this subject in the near future. Don't forget www.smcorp.tv. Keep watching, and you can still continue the debate on Twitter at Star Media Corp, at Dawn Butler Brent, hashtag live with Dawn Butler. Keep the debate going, and we will see you again next week. Thank you for tuning in.
Good calls.